Yes, we did it!
I'm so proud of you guys. I can't even believe it's happening. That's it. Thank you.
That's it. Good night. That was it. That was our live cue. Bye. See you later. Bye. Oh, okay. Hi.
How is everyone?
I mean, here we are. I'm in my closet.
Okay.
Where are you, Emmanuel?
I'm in my dining room.
Okay. Perry?
I'm in the main room with the dogs and the children's toys in the background.
Jeremy?
I am in my living room with my French bulldog Bubba, who just pooped on my drum kit.
Very nice.
Fantastic.
Very nice. You're in the trophy room, literally.
I am.
I like it.
I like it.
I was there. I was there for those trophies. I think I
Yeah,
sat
you were.
next to you for some of those trophies.
That's right. We are all responsible for that. And I have to say, you guys, I've been touring the country for a couple of years doing stand-up, and so I get to see people firsthand and see how much, this is going to sound terrible because I'm celebrating us, but how much people miss us.
Aww.
And they really do, and it's really nice to see.
No, that's what I was going to say, why I felt like this was such a cool way to get whoever was available, timing wise and I don't know, room wise, to come out for this, because this Cameo Cares, like live stream virtual event, is just kind of like, let's grab the moment by the balls and just take advantage of it. And this is what we got, and this is the time we got, and let's just fucking do it. And sorry, I'm already cursing. We're only 5 minutes in, but
I love it.
I do just want to say, so everybody knows that, Cameo Cares, it's live. It's their first ever virtual 3-day event. We have to talk about this because they are raising money. That's why we're all here.
Amazing.
All of us are on Cameo raising money for charity, and even this whole 3-day event is raising money for charity. And so I think that while you're watching, you can donate to a link that is like right below us, or you can go on cameo.com and you can get shout outs from us. You can get shout outs from anyone that's on Cameo, and all the proceeds of the 3-day event are all going to charity. 100% of the proceeds. So,
Well, but I'm getting a jet ski though, right?
I mean, if you have somewhere to go with that jet ski.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to tell us a secret lake where you're allowed to go?
His bathroom is a large bathtub.
Speaking of which, how are you guys navigating your quarantine?
Well, I'm on day 32. And I'm in LA and I'm in Los Feliz, and I've got I'm in my closet right now. I got 2 dogs that will probably bark at some point, and a 12-year-old, and then my husband and me. And that's where we're at, 32 days in. Where are you?
I feel like you guys are very prepared, especially Perry, because you have a deep meditative practice, don't you?
Oh my gosh, you think you do, right? Until something like this happens. No, but I have lived without communication devices. I have lived without electricity. I don't think I've ever been not allowed out of my neighborhood, but this is really the one thing that I will say is everyone's in the same boat. So there's sort of amazing camaraderie that I really appreciate, and I love seeing people like tonight at 8 o'clock when everyone was cheering for all the healthcare workers. Every neighborhood is doing it. It's really special, and makes you feel like, oh, we're all one big family. I know that sounds sort of hokey and I don't know, cliched, but it's true.
No, because
I miss my on-screen husband. So this was a lovely way to reunite. It took a pandemic to get us back together, but hey,
Yeah.
Literally, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, I'm down for it.
Because that was going to be my question. Because we're all in LA, so we're all on the same days of quarantine, correct?
Yeah.
More or less. I might actually be like 34. I really quarantined early. I just did. But in any case, yes, Los Angeles.
I was lucky. I had to fly back from Atlanta working, and my mom was here taking care of my 2-year-old. And thank God, she didn't go back. She's still with us. She'd be, alone somewhere. And so that's been a blessing. And of course, with being around our child, like, I mean, she probably won't remember this because she's so little, but what an amazing time for her to be with all of us. She's, used to having us all be really busy. So that's been trying to see the good sides of things,
But Jeremy, how hard has that been for you not being able to see your mom?
Yeah.
No, it's great because I go and I drop food off for her, and then I wave and I scream. I know how to project. As you guys know, I do a lot of yelling. And so I yell to her, and we do our thing. But I think, to talk about what Perry was hitting on, that we now all have a common enemy, and this is like a reset. And what I'm thinking and feeling is that we're going to come out of this, I think, this with more empathy towards each other.
I mean, God willing, seriously, I swear to God, if this pandemic does not teach that to everybody, we're just like fucked.
Then we're a lost cause.
Because I mean, you have to do that during this time. You have to find the silver lining in every single day. I mean,
it's
you
true.
have to all understand that if
it's like there's no time to feel like the moment you feel like a victim, the moment you're in like poor me mode, you literally go, oh no, wait. Every single person has a story right now.
Yeah.
Every single, whether you're alone, whether you're with family, whether you have kids, you don't have kids, whatever it is, at work, employment, whatever it is, everybody's got a story. So it really like snaps you out of it quick.
Yeah,
I find that I'm remarkably not. I mean, I have moments of, sort of anxiety, but I just know that everyone else is in it. Keeps me calm. It's almost like the group energy is keeping me from, spiraling off the planet. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone. I mean,
that's a good way to look at it. Now, what do you think your characters from Entourage? How would they handle?
I'm sorry, aren't I the one that's supposed to be hosting this? Are you gonna jump on my questions like that?
Dana, pick it up.
Fuck you, Ari. Fuck you. Jesus Christ.
Corona is fucking my bank account.
This is all they wanted. This is all they wanted.
Dana Gordon. I don't care if you go to Vinny's house and get Johnny Drama and film him counting Vinny's money. We need content.
Fuck you and your content, Ari. Just relax.
Well, if you would fuck me, it would be good content. No, sorry. But
go, please. Go. You asked the question. Go. Let's answer it.
So where would your characters be? How would they be navigating this? Obviously, you guys are self-empowered, evolved women. How would your characters navigate this?
Well, who wants to answer that first?
Go, Sloan. You started talking. See?
I mean, listen, Sloan, she was very well off. She was not living in a 2-bedroom apartment in West Hollywood with no backyard. So I think Sloan would be like lounging by the pool, probably have like a chef making really healthy food.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have a baby by now?
Your child is called.
What about your child? Did you already forget you had a kid?
You have a 5-year-old at this point.
Right?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but she probably would have help that lives there. They'd all be quarantining together. Right. I mean, let's be real. That's what it would be, a very different existence than my own, bottom line.
As it should be, because you're not your character, right?
Correct.
What do you think, Perry?
Oh, I think that Mrs. Ari, Melissa, shall we call her Melissa, would think this was the dreamiest, best thing ever, because she gets to be with her family and she gets to have Ari at home, and she would get to have family dinners. Hopefully the kids they'd probably be in college by now, right? They'd be home, and she'd have she'd have the empty nest would now be full again. But then, cut to a weekend, I'm sure she'd be having a nervous breakdown and would want Ari to go to work. And wouldn't want to have to listen to her children complain about all of the great things that they have and are not appreciative for. So I think, but again, the level of wealth, it's a different thing. Though, who knows, she came from a wealthy family. Maybe they lost all their money in that market crash. I don't know. I think that she loves Ari so much that, having him there would be a nice thing.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think at a certain point, that Ari would start spinning out of control and would start to be jonesing for work so badly, he would be in literally the backyard screaming, getting Elon Musk on the phone and creating a space station because he just purchased the UFC for $4 billion and he wants to have guys fight in space because he wants to keep it going. He's got to work.
Yeah,
got to work, baby.
And she would say, go get on that shuttle and be back in a month, like that.
Well, I think Dana would be working every single day by herself in an office and trying to get movies that were already financed, cast, and done so that the second the pandemic we're allowed to leave our homes and work, she would have 10 movies already lined up and ready to go. I think she'd be like, this is the greatest gift I've ever been given. I will work harder than anybody else has ever worked and nobody can bug me. I don't have anybody to piss me off or tell me I can't do it. She'll just cast everything, get everything financed, and it would be done. And then she'd be like, why was that so bad?
I like that.
I think that probably it would be the best thing that ever happened to Dana Gordon because you would come out of it on top and you would be definitely crushing it because a lot of people are getting overwhelmed by this and they're not getting momentum in their lives, and your character would be getting that. But it's I think people want to they want to hear maybe from us how we're getting through this, right? Sorry, I keep stepping up your moderator.
They only want to know about that for a second. Honestly, the questions that I got from the fans are
all about the show.
Yeah, well, sure. They care about us this much, but they care about us as our characters like this much, right?
You mean I thought Entourage wasn't a documentary? It was a work of fiction?
You know what? That's a good question, actually. I think some people it's a mixed bag. So I want to ask you guys, I'm going to give you some fan questions because there were a lot that came in. And the one that kept coming in the most was, who was your favorite, cameo guest star actor that came in on the show that you either got to work with or didn't get to work with? And what about them on the show was so exciting? Whether it was shock value, were you starstruck by them, or was it just getting to be in a scene with them and what they were playing on the show? So I'm going to give Jeremy, why don't you answer that question first? Because I feel like you might have interacted with the majority of them.
Mm-hmm. You know what? We had so many incredible cameos that were, it was insane. One was better than the next and it kept going. And as most actors are frustrated athletes, and that's what I am. So I got to work with Mike Tyson, and then I got to say things to Mike Tyson in between action and cut that were so brutal. And I was, just teeing off on him and yet checking with him to see if he was okay, because I don't know, at any moment I could have rattled the cage and, grizzly bear would bite my ear off. We don't know. And yet he was brilliant and willing to do anything and could improvise. And I had the time of my life. Also, Lenny Kravitz, having Lenny for our Passover episode was amazing. He FaceTimed me, cold FaceTime, which, as you guys know, is dangerous. And I was shirtless, and I had my first interaction with Lenny shirtless, and he's 11 times sexier than I am. So I was incredibly intimidated to be shirtless, FaceTiming Lenny Kravitz, and yet it all worked out.
Did this happen on this Passover?
It happens on every Passover. It's tradition.
It's tradition.
To do and it's going to be in all the history books. The Jews will now witness a shirtless. No. I did a Zoom Passover this year, and it was just like Jews staring at the screen, screaming for 20 minutes. We shouldn't be allowed to Zoom. It's a disaster.
I did my first Seder when it wasn't on Zoom, but it was very weird. Either way, I don't know.
But it's still great to see people and connect.
Of course. But it was
for
now
5 minutes, not for 45 minutes.
Right. With the delay on the time too, which is a lot to get used to. But Emmanuel and Perry, what's your favorite cameo story, I guess?
I gotta say, I guess it was at the end of season 7. God, maybe it was 8. I don't remember. It was LeBron James and Matt Damon at the airport hangar. And I just was like, what the fuck? What's happening right now? And of course, Doug knew that, I'm a giant Matt Damon fan and a giant LeBron James fan. And so Doug knew this. And so, of course, he embarrassed me like crazy remember Doug used to come around on set with his video camera? He'd be like, hey, what are you up to tonight? Whatever. So he comes in front of Matt Damon and LeBron James, and he's like, is this the best day of your life? You want to say why it's the best day of your life? And I'm like, no, I don't. So humiliated, but it was cool. It was just one of those moments where you just, Entourage had so many surreal moments where you were like, I don't even understand how this is happening right now, but here we are. That was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what is so awesome about Entourage that I don't even know that Doug knew was going to happen, was it was going to become this phenomenon that people, I mean, you could be shooting in Beverly Hills and somebody like Brian Grazer would walk by and then would end up in the show because he could be himself.
Totally.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
But that's what I think is so awesome about these kind of like behind the scenes type shows, is because you can work it all in. If someone's like, hey, I'll be in Beverly Hills today, I heard you guys are shooting, what if I just walk by in a scene? Is that cool? And they were like, yeah, why not?
Sure, great.
So Perry, do you have a story, Perry?
Well, mine is not maybe as exciting, but for me it was really thrilling. No, seriously, because there were so many people to pick from. I mean, like you said, the list of people that came on as themselves on our show was unheard of. And people wanted to do it. I mean, Doug would get calls from people he'd have to say no. I mean, it was not like, oh, who can we get? It was like, oh my God, who do we have to, how can we get them on? Because there's no room. But I don't remember which season it was, but do you remember, Jeremy, Ari had hired Andrew, his friend, was it Andrew? Gary Cole, to work for him, and he messed up, and Gary was a disaster and hounding you. And I was friends with Gary's wife, who is Jamie Gertz. And I grew up, child of the 80s, watching all the 80s TV shows and 80s movies. And Jamie Gertz to me was I probably watched her and as a kid and just thought she's the most beautiful, most wonderful actress. Remember Square Pegs in the early 80s? I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, or like Less Than Zero. I mean, it was Jamie Gertz. So I got to have Jamie Gertz as my best friend, which,
wow.
all those years later, that was really, she had an influence on me wanting to be an actress. So that was really fun. And it was fun because I think we did a scene where we got drunk or something at the Peninsula, or no, the Beverly, one of those beautiful hotels on Wilshire Boulevard. And, it was exciting. So to me, it's Jamie Gertz. And Jamie's kids came to visit that day. And they were so cute. They're like, oh, we really think you're a good actress, but our mother is our favorite actress. And Jamie has never in her whole life watched anything she's ever done. Never.
Wow.
I had to tell her she was good. I'm not kidding. But
I'm the exact opposite. I watch my reel every night. It's on an endless loop. So it's completely different than any of that stuff, by the way. But no, we had everyone from, Tom Brady and all the Patriots show up. And by the way, Constance, who was your favorite?
Yeah.
Oh, mine's really easy. Mine was Stella and Skarsgård. That scene when I got to yell at him and literally give him a new asshole in front of all of you guys. I felt like that had really, you'd never seen a woman do that to a man in such a high position. And I remember I was so scared and I was sweating. And I remember it was like Doug just kept saying, yell louder and be meaner. And I was like, okay. And when you did the line of like, is anybody else turned on? It was always so hard to just not break down out of like actual nervous laughter of like, oh my God, please just tell me I'm not gonna scare any, I don't know what, but it was, that to me was because the fact that it was him and I was yelling at him and he was a director and that's by far.
Do people, when people see you, do they ask you to yell at them?
Oh yeah, I know everybody, like I've only been on Cameo for one day and I'm only going to be on it for today. And I mean, the requests that I get are like, can you call my husband and just say, fuck you, David? You know, and I'm like, I don't know. I actually don't even know that I can do that. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I get requests like, can you call my wife a rusty cunt bucket? No, I can't. I cannot. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I got to draw the line. But by the way, and I don't even know if are we crossing the lines? Can we swear? We're already in. We're deep.
Yeah, we're in.
We're going.
We're in. We're on a live Zoom virtual charity event. Nobody.
Yeah.
I just have to say one more thing, you guys. One cameo that was never seen was Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man.
We were, as you guys know, we filmed a lot, you know, at Staples, and we were there, and I saw Kobe warming up, and I went over to him, and he's just always so present and gracious. And the camera came over, and I just said, you know, turn it over. And Kobe was just warming up, taking threes, and I just went in and went into character and told him that I wanted to represent him, you know, and that I think that he's incredibly charismatic, and that he could do really great work and be very prolific in the film world. And he was just taking threes and just saying like, nah, man, I don't have like what Denzel has. I just don't have it. It's just not, it's not in me. And as he's talking, he's so charismatic and fascinating and sinking threes without missing during the entire, I'm getting chills talking about it, during the entire conversation. And what's so funny is that people don't realize, like, that's what acting is. You have an action. Or interrupted action as you're doing the scene. And his action was just sinking threes and just speaking to me. And just speaking to me as himself. He's so charismatic, it was fascinating. We ended up not using it, but that was kind of my favorite cameo that never made it. And God bless him.
Wow.
He was a
Maybe
force.
we need to find that footage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know.
We do.
I mean,
we do need to find it.
Look, you know, I don't know, Doug and his video camera, with the stuff that he's got on that video camera.
There's a whole other movie there.
That's right. So now the one thing everybody really wants to know, because people really feel like Entourage, the TV show, they all feel like it kind of ended very abruptly, and some characters they felt didn't maybe get to do what they could have done had they had one more season. And I think that a lot of the fans are saying that a lot of them thought that the characters were going to then in the movie have a little bit of closure, which a lot of them are kind of feeling like maybe not. It felt like a separate entity. So what do you guys wish that your characters could have done before the show was over? Like, is there something that you wish that the fans could have seen them do or accomplish or have peace with, or anything like that, that would maybe give the fans a feeling of like, okay, well, they said it here, so I'll take it.
You're talking about the show, not the movie, like the show.
No, the character. I'm just talking about your character in general. Like if there was something that you wish that Mrs. Ari could have accomplished within Entourage, whether you want to make it the movie or the TV show, but just all of our characters in general, if there was something that you wish that the fans could have seen them have closure with, what do you think that would be? Oh, did I just dump a few of you?
No, I actually thought about this. No, I do. I have an answer.
Okay, go.
I think that it would have been really interesting to delve into the entire drama of E sleeping with my stepmother.
Oh, yeah.
There was like no result. Like, by the way, in what universe doesn't the woman flip the fuck out? Like, I would have loved to have it out with E in a real way, but more than that, I wish that there could have been like a scene between me and Melinda. Do you know? Like, I just think that was because it was all in the story, but we never got to like get in it, and I feel like that would have been a good one to get into and have like resolution, because I was twisted up by that. I was like, what? He what?
I mean, as anybody would be, whether you were a character on television or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly my point. Yeah.
All right. What do you got, Perry?
Well, I feel like in that last season, I mean, Ari and Mrs. Ari went through so much, and she left and laid down some boundaries, and then he won her back. And that final scene where you come and you've had, you know, the character of Ari came with the, you know, the opera, the boys singing. I mean, it was pretty tight. I thought that ending was, didn't you, Jeremy? I mean,
It was amazing.
Because my storyline was, you know, the wife of Ari, and I feel like she got to say no, she got to leave, she got to stand up for herself, she got to say no more of this, and then he realized that, you know, that compromise was necessary, and they came to terms, and they're in love. Like I felt actually very good about that. Sorry if I'm not coming up with like she should have gone to law school or something, but I don't know, there was something nice about having a character, the being a wife and a mother who actually had a strong sense of herself, and that Mrs. Ari did have the whole time. She wasn't just a cliche, and I appreciated that, and I loved playing that, because I think it was kind of maybe appreciated at times. I mean, people, God, they still come up to me on the street and are like, "You were a horrible bitch," and I was like, "No, I get what you're saying. She was hard, but it was Ari, and he needed that balance." I always felt, and she kept him from, again, like spinning out of control. So I felt good, and I'm glad she did leave him. If she hadn't have left him, I think I would have been like more frustrated in kind of the way that Emmanuel was like, wait, that would never happen. So it was good. It felt real. So anyway, that's what I think. What do you think about that, Jeremy? Did you feel that we as our characters had a good closure, or whatever you call it?
I thought it was beautiful, and it was a little bit of a metaphor to trying to find balance in your life,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, we're all trying to, not to get too deep, but that's what we're all trying to do, balance our ambition and the rest of our lives, as I sit alone in my home with my French bulldog. Anyway, I digress. But Perry, I thought we could have also explored and heightened the idea of us in the Amalfi Coast together, living the dream, and how two people would you know, navigate. It would be incredible, but Ari would start climbing the walls in terms of wanting to work. And so that was a really fertile ground to kind of continue to kind of work on. But to answer your question, Constance, I don't know. I mean, you know, the fact that, first of all, everyone in this chat right now, none of us were supposed to really be series regulars, you know. And
I was never a series regular, by the way.
Me neither.
And, you know, and Perry, because, you know, we work so well together, you know, because by the way, people think we thrust the name Mrs. Ari on you. You love the fact.
I thought it was hilarious. It was a scene with E and Ari, and you're like, oh, you know who I did last night, or some like, you know, sexual like prowess kind of thing. And then he was so uncomfortable, he said Mrs. Ari, and I mean that was hilarious. It was early on, like in the first season.
Yeah, and that was, you know, you not only okay with it, but you're like, you loved it. Listen, Ari, you know, anointed Lloyd, and Lloyd becomes this agent. It would have been cool to see that come to fruition and have them kind of have a moment where they're on equal ground, where Lloyd becomes this powerful agent. Just so many moments. We have all these very specific characters that, and I'm telling you guys, just from being on the road and doing stand-up comedy, we've touched so many people. Guys come up to me and they say, I was in Afghanistan and you guys got me through, just laughing and watching. And, it's good to know, because you guys aren't necessarily out there playing live shows, but it's really cool to meet our audience and to see how we've affected these people.
Well, and the fans really want to know if we had any idea being on the show that it was going to become such a huge blow up like what it did. I mean, look, here we are. The TV show was over in 2011. The movie, we shot it in 2015, and here we are in 2020, and it's like people still care today like they cared when the show was on.
Yeah.
That's incredibly impressive. And I would say, no, I don't think any of us knew that this show was going to be what it has become.
No, I certainly had no idea, but I knew that we were, surrounded by this incredible pedigree of shows. There are the other shows that were on HBO at the time, Sex and the City, Sopranos. We were in such good company. I knew we had a shot. If we did our thing and executed it, all right, then we could get an audience. And we were on before social media, and I knew we were onto something when I started seeing people gathering Sunday nights in groups to watch.
Oh,
and so we had more people watching than they could even count, because they were gathering in groups.
I mean, it's crazy to think that this show was on in a time when, like, you couldn't just watch it all at once. I mean, everybody's watching it all at once right now. In quarantine, there are more people that are rewatching Entourage. It's almost like it should be back out. Like, I know everyone has the DVDs, everybody has the sets. It's like, it's insane, but more people are becoming aware of Entourage that didn't even know it when it was on television. Like, there's a whole new generation of people that are coming to Entourage now to have the time to watch it. And I just, it's so crazy to me, and I find it incredibly endearing. With as little as I was on the show, like, every single character had an impact on people's lives, because everybody had a little bit of something that they could relate to. It didn't matter. You didn't have to be in the entertainment business. It wasn't like Insider Baseball. It was people struggling with their lives, and like what you were saying, how to make a balance. Everybody was trying to figure out how to do a balance. And I don't know, I'm constantly amazed at how everybody it's all they want to hear about is Entourage. Like, that's all everybody wants to talk about, And
Always.
like, there's fan messages coming in right now, and they're saying, what happened when you guys read the final season of the script. So, like, probably like the final episode of the final, we weren't doing table reads anymore at that point, though.
Yeah.
So that was just like show up and shoot that last episode, right? How did you guys all feel shooting that last episode, knowing it was it? Like, that the series was
so brutal. Emmanuel and I talk about it often because we spent the day together, basically. It was so emotional. And we shot the final scene of the show, the final scene that we shot. Like, I mean, usually when you're acting, you don't
poetic,
in sequence, so people may not know that, but you shoot, some scenes from the end of the show at the beginning. But this, we shot the last scene, was our last scene, and everyone was together, and it was.
Remember what he was like, and that's a show wrap
oh my God.
on Entourage, and it was like you got chills. You
Everyone
were like,
cried. Everyone cried.
Oh, it's devastating.
It was devastating. And
yeah, but
years later,
it was weird because it didn't feel like it was over, and then it wasn't, because we did the movie, and there were those that said they wanted to see the movie earlier, because I think it kind of came out 4 years later. But here we are, you know, and, you know, what are all the variables that make people want to see it? I mean, I think it's the impact it had on people, but I think it's also whatever it is that's going on now, there's a void that's not being filled that they would like to see with this show.
Yeah, it's fun. It moved. It had amazing music. You were sort of swept away into a really fun fantasy fulfillment world with real characters who cared about each other. And I mean, I wish I could watch one of those right now. Like, I wish there was a show, not to say, oh, we had the best show ever, but like, I wish there was a show right now that I was that excited about.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, where I'd just be taken out of what, you know, what's necessarily going on, like a real form of entertainment with, you know, characters that I love. Any recommendations? What are you watching?
I'm loving Fleabag.
Oh yeah.
Oh, love.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's because people love to watch people that they feel are more fucked up than them.
For sure.
It just makes you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not that messed up. I'm okay, you know? Which is, I think, a little bit of Entourage, that everybody was just a little bit complicated. Every character had their flaws. Every character had their positives, but yet it was also tangible, you know, like everybody knew those people. Yeah. Everybody knew all of us. Like, I was constantly getting mistaken for a real studio executive. Like, I would have people on planes say to me, you know, like, not know that I was an actor, but say, I've seen you on the lot before, right? And I'm like, no, no. You know, and like thinking that I was a real executive, that I was an actor playing an executive. And that was always like such a huge compliment, I felt, because I was like, wow, there's people think this is, like, to your point, it's a documentary, you know?
Right. And you know, all of our characters were so volatile, and they would speak their truth, and they were reactive in the moment to varying degrees, all of us. And, you know, I think
varying degrees.
Right. And my character obviously was very, very guilty of that at all times. I remember literally doing a scene in which I was furious and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, and Doug was like, I need more. And I didn't know what else to do. I was going as deep as I possibly, I was shaking.
I think I was there. I remember that.
And so the only thing left to do was literally take the script and put it in my mouth and start ripping it apart like an animal. And we just kind of went, it was great to explore how far can we go. And yeah, I don't know if could this show exist today?
No.
No, I don't think it could.
It'd be hard.
Not even no.
I'm just gonna say no. I'm gonna be the first one to say no. But again, this is the thing. Thank God we're all changing. Everybody is evolving, and things are getting better slowly. So that show, and still to this day, will resonate, even if things aren't the same today. Like, they've pulled ads, they've pulled commercials from television that have people hugging in them right now because it's too much for people to take. So everything's relative, right?
Right.
So
everything's relative. I agree with that.
Everything is relative. You can't look back on that show and be like, well, it wouldn't survive today. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was
to your point, Constance, I remember last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I actually had done an interview, and they had asked me, like, do I think that Entourage could survive right now? And of course, there was an angle to it. And other than, like, my love for all of you, I honestly mean this, is that I think it pushed the boundaries then, and it would push the boundaries now. But here's the thing, that the argument to why it still could work today is that Hollywood is gnarly and is complicated. And that hasn't changed with the Me Too movement or not. Like, shit's gnarly. And I think, people change and people evolve, but Hollywood's Hollywood. Like, And I think maybe some storylines would be different, but I kind of think it would be a point of interest right now.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
I think it would be controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not let the women have bigger voices? I mean, that's all you got to do is just change the narrative.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, we have a group of strong women right here, and I could just basically be Ari off camera, and it could be just like Ari's Angels.
And look at us all. We all are petite brunettes. I mean, you can say that Doug had a type because we all have really strong personalities. We're all kind of edgy. We're all pretty. We all are from the same little planet. And I have to say, look, take a look at some of the other women that were on the show. I mean, listen, the show was never about any of us. We were not the main characters, but we had very strong characters that supported other characters in a way that fleshed them out. So we were extremely important, and we got to have good stuff ourselves. But I do think, like in the movie Emmanuel, when E sleeps with two girls or whatever, hooks up with two girls on the same day, and then you're pregnant, you're gonna take him back. I mean, there's some stuff like that where you're like, no, would never happen.
Yeah.
Not one woman in this audience who's like, yeah, I would take him back. It's like, done. No, you cannot. Yeah, you're never seeing your child again. I mean,
I don't know. Have you guys watched Tiger King? I'm just saying. Don't
no,
be
I
so
haven't. I haven't.
I mean, think about that. That you have to, to talk about, the point we were making about could it exist today. Think about the shows that everyone is watching. It's Tiger King, okay? You got to, and even Fleabag are, they're really pushing the boundaries, and people are curious about all different types of people and the dimensions of these people and all their warts and everything. And I think, it was a show about many things, and part of it was the backstage life of Hollywood, and we strove to get it right and make it authentic, and we did. So I still think there would be, like I'm telling you guys, I get to see the audience out there, and people are wanting it and wanting more. So
let's do a reboot. Let's do Entourage 2001.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my question to all of you. Would you guys would love to go back and play these characters like 5 years later, and in a way where the world and the industry is where it is now? Would you want, and because how do you think your characters would have evolved? Because they would have had to have evolved, right? And and how much do you think that would change the dynamic on the show?
Well, as we were talking about, I think this pandemic has been a great equalizer for all of us and a reset. And so I think that we don't even know how this is going to play on all of us. You know what I mean? So coming out of this, it's going to be a bit of a different world. Mm-hmm. And, like I was saying, I think we're developing as a group more empathy towards each other and trying to navigate what's real and what isn't.
And what matters and what doesn't.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely. So yeah, it would be really fun to explore it now in these times. It would kind of be fascinating. And someone asked, I just saw how do you prepare for your role, my role? And, we were dancing around the fact that it's loosely based on Ari Emanuel, who represents Wahlberg and runs his own company, is a super agent, literally helped purchase the UFC. So, here's a guy who's now in that game. So, I mean, you could literally follow that storyline. And now Ari is representing athletes as well. And now Dana has to represent athletes. You know what I mean?
Ari had to pay for the team that we bought because I had
absolutely. And Emmanuel has to date Julian Edelman. There are worse things.
Now, everybody does want to know, though, how often do all of us talk to each other or anybody from Entourage? That is a very big question.
I would say not enough.
That's good.
Yes. Well, Jer, not enough. I feel like I've had the good fortune of bumping into you in the most random, in Mexico, remember, just where I'm like, wait, what?
Right, we're doing that charity event, the tennis charity event in the middle of the desert, and you
It's a
roll up in a
desert.
Jeep, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, totally.
And then we were in Tulum together. Yeah,
Yes,
but
which
it
was so
needs-
lovely.
we definitely need a reunion. We yeah, let this kind of like inspire more get-togethers when we're allowed to
See
congregate.
each other. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I get to see Emmanuel because we're both on the board of an environmental chair organization called the EMA, which is Environmental Media Association. So we should see each other
yes.
quite a lot. I don't get to see Perry because if she's not in Costa Rica, which she used to be in Costa Rica a lot.
I see you at the Pilates studio, Perry.
That's right. I do. I see Emmanuel because she turned me on to an amazing Pilates instructor, and that's been good. I mean, I feel like I'm the same. I run into people, but it's like I think going through what we're all going through right now, because I've been texting people that I actually worked with, that I've loved working with, and just saying, I cannot believe that I have let this friendship. It's like we're still friends, but I just don't see you because, you know, our lives take their course. But I think being caged in my home is making me realize how I'm not going to let that opportunity just pass me by. I mean, we're all going to get together. I mean, I know that sounds like a lovely promise that may not be met, but I really mean it. We all do live in LA.
Oh,
Not
it would
busy,
be
but like it would be
so
nice,
nice.
even just lunch or like coffee, or because we do all have a lot in common. We went through 8 years together of a very intense experience as actors and artists, and so we can't really talk to other people about that really deeply understand us. Like even right now, when were we supposed to? When I'm looking at my phone, we were supposed to be done like
I asked
an
them
hour
if they
ago,
wanted us to
and we
stop,
keep
and they were
talking.
like, "No, keep going."
Because we all like each other and we have a lot in common.
No, you know what it is too, guys? I think what this quarantine is also making people realize is all of the things that we take for granted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuff that we all thought was going to be there all the time, 24/7, whenever we wanted it, is kind of not right now. And
Yeah.
I do think that one of the things, I'm just going to bring it back to the beginning, is that Entourage was called Entourage because people loved watching this group of bros, of guys, hang out and show love for each other and be there for each other and want to help each other and support each other and do whatever they could do. That was their entourage. We are all in quarantine missing our own entourages, our own people that we would go
Tribe.
have coffee
Yeah.
with, or we would get to meet for lunch once a week, and I think that it does make you realize that it isn't the amount of friends that you have, it is the quality of friends and what you do with your time, right? So it's right now, we can only do one day at a time. We can be present and we can appreciate every moment for what it is right now. And then when the next moment comes, so it's like, we could probably all sit here and talk like for hours and hours and hours, because when have we ever been given this gift of time? We're never given the gift of time because we all think we're too busy, and that
I think
I can't. Yeah, no, but
I do. You'd be really good. You're good at leading people. You're good at you put us all together. I mean, it was great. You've asked good questions. You're awesome. You're our Ellen.
Well,
You're
that, by the way, you know that's when Jeremy and I met for the first time was in 1997 when I was on Ellen and Jeremy was on Ellen. You were a regular. I was on as a guest star. It was like my second job I had ever done. And I was playing a riot girl with like 10 R's. I didn't have a name. I was just Riot Girl.
Oh my God.
I was getting on Ellen, and that was the first time that I met you, Jeremy.
Yes. And then smash cut to the New York Times calling me to talk about you. And I was so proud of you, and I got to speak the truth about you, which was really great. I'm very proud of all of you. This is the part where we all start sobbing like grandma did.
I will. Seriously, give me enough time. I will cry. I will cry because this is when it all comes out. We don't get to see each other and like just talk it out. And we're all so emotional anyways because we don't get to see and talk to people very often. But, you know, my character Quinn is modeled after Ari Gold.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
She's a combination of Anna Wintour and a female Ari Gold. So
wow.
That's
Wow.
We've come full circle. I love it. But
we have come full circle. I don't want to stop talking to you guys. I didn't even get to ask you half of the fan questions. Look at this.
You got good ones in though. You did
yeah,
well.
you did get good ones in.
Is there anything last that you guys each want to share to the fans out there, whether it's acting advice, life advice, just, is there anything that you guys want to share as like an out?
So much, you know.
I know.
First of all, you know, my little iPad is running out of juice, so I'm holding it up. It's pathetic what's happening right now. No, but you know, it's a testament to this group right here. For people watching at home or wherever, or for the 11 people that are still with us, you know, my character was a fringe player, quote unquote, and everyone here had to really earn everything that they got. And it's not about, you got to put your ego out of the equation and really work your butt off, and great things will happen. And that's this entire group. That's what we're about. We just weren't handed things. And no one wants to hear this from me, but I will say this is a time where we can really embrace having time, and it's slowed down for us, and develop good habits and do things that we haven't done. And if you haven't meditated, give it a chance, because only good things can come of it, to be more present and more grateful in this life. And I'm sorry to be so
mic drop, Jeremy. That is yes.
Don't ever apologize for being sincere and just honest and just giving people advice that some people go, ugh, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's not about them. It's about.
I mean, I just don't want people to be like, why is Ari Gold telling me to meditate? Fuck off.
Because you're not Ari Gold. Barry, what do you got?
I just have to say that just to say something nice about Cameo, honestly, because if it wasn't for Constance getting a hold of me to do this with this organization that is donating everything that they're going to get from now until Saturday to the Actors Fund, to the Music Cares. I'm doing employees of
restaurant workers,
yeah, and No Kid Hungry. It's amazing. I mean, I feel like without having, I'm in my own home doing something positive. It just makes me feel good, and that the four of us, I don't know, I think the four best of the entire show, all gathering together. Jeremy and the three ladies, obviously this is the ticket, right? This is the spinoff.
It's so funny.
I don't know, we become, I don't know, our own cult. But I really appreciated doing this, and I'm glad that Cameo helped you put this together, Constance, and it's been really fun. And
yes.
Now it's time to go to bed because it's.
I know.
It's 9
Amanda, what's your last?
I love your sentiments, Jeremy. I think everything you said was just so on point and real, and I think everybody can relate. And Perry, 100%. So I'm just gonna echo that. I think that if we can just get through this with the most grace, that we use our time, like Jeremy said. And, I think it can be a little bit, as certainly as artists, for so much idle time, there is that feeling of like, how can we give back? Well, what can we do? And I think that as artists, as humans, we just need to be the light for each other. And that is really what it comes down to. And I think that that's what we're doing. And I feel so grateful to have gone on this epic journey with all of you. I really do feel like really one of the lucky ones in our crazy town. Mm-hmm. And you guys are a massive part of that. And so thank you. And I love you a lot.
I love all of you.
I love all of you so much. And I'm so glad that we got to do this. And
next year in Israel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Last night of Passover, yeah.
Oh my God. All right, we've gone way over, and we really are happy because we were the last ones on tonight. So this is actually concluding the first night of Cameo Cares, and they're going to have more panels tomorrow and more panels on Saturday.
Right
and
on.
Make sure that you continue to donate. All of us are on Cameo. You can get private messages from all of us. I'm only on for today, so get in there quick. Look, Cameo Cares, this is awesome. They're giving 100% of all the proceeds from all the cameos, everything that everybody is paying for anybody. Those are my dogs. It's all going to charity. So thank you all for being a part of it. Thank you guys all for doing this, like literally within 24 hours. I love you all dearly. Honestly, I can say that. And I can't believe it's a pandemic that brought us all together, but I'll fucking thank that pandemic.
Yes, we have to embrace all the good stuff that comes out of it. And I miss you guys, and let's do it again soon as we're allowed to gather and make the most of this time. Make the most of it.
Yes, everybody, one day at a time. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just one day at a time.
Yes.
Peace out.
Love you guys.
Bye.
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 This is where I'm like, I don't know how to turn it off.
That was great. Really inspiring. I'm sure Sandra's going to follow up with you guys, but it was a huge privilege to just watch you guys talk.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeremy, thank you for sharing that Kobe story. That was really moving.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Let me see. How do I?